Hey everybody, this is John with Proficient Mower. Also work on Just Answer as Briggs fan, Briggs-fan on justanswer.com. Today we're going to work on a little Ryobi leaf blower here. One of my coworkers gave me. Basically, it'll start up, but it won't come off a choke. So I can tell right from that it's a carburetor issue. We're going to pull the carburetor. I'm going to show you how to pull the carburetor on this, and then we'll go through soaking it and cleaning it. So let me adjust this a little bit here. There we go. Just trying to set this up where it won't move on you while we're recording. Just gonna move this over here. Set this up right, just that way. That way it won't go anywheres. Okay, so we'll angle this down. Okay, so basically we're going to go ahead and work on this carburetor here. To get to the carburetor, you're just going to undo this nut here. Right, that pulls off. Then you're going to have two, looks like either they're star bits or the T25 bits. So we'll go ahead and get those and pull those off. Just there's two right there. Go get that open. And it should be a T25, I think, is the one that usually T20 or T25. So we'll try one of these real quick. This is the T25. I get these bit sets from Harbor Freight. I like them a lot because you can use different bits for different things. So we're gonna go ahead and check and see if this bit fits. And as you can see, it fits perfectly. So we're gonna take both of those out. Move this to the side. That way we can lay our pieces in here. And we'll go through the carburetor, clean it and boil it, and see if we can get this thing to fire up. Hopefully it's just the screen's clogged up. If not, I might have to order a carburetor kit for it. But sometimes you can get away with just, cleaning the screen on them if it's your own personal one. For customers, usually I'll rebuild them if they need it, if the gaskets seem brittle or anything. So we'll undo these here. As you can see, the leaves are already falling here in Maryland, so now's about the time when all the leaf blowers are needed. So I've got a couple of them lined up to be repaired. It's just I have to have a running one because I help take care of my mom's place. So therefore, this one here, I'm going to try to get it running and take it down there tomorrow. And the Ryobis, they're not too bad. I mean, they're not the best thing. I mean, not compared to Stihl or Echo, but it's a good little leaf blower. And if all it needs is its carburetor cleaned out, then, it's definitely worth putting a little bit of time and just cleaning up the carb. There we go. Okay, so this two should come off. As you undo these screws will come out right here. You can see. I'm just a hand pulling them out now. Just don't want them to fall. Okay. Usually they're pretty long because they go through the bolts and everything. So put this one here. And let's go ahead and pull this one here. Okay, get that one out too. Alright, so those two are out. At that point, you can split this like this, just pull this aside, and you have, mark your fuel lines. You have your first fuel line, I don't know if you can see it, but right here, going up there, and you have a second fuel line that comes and goes from the second fuel line, goes into the primer bulb, then has a fuel line that comes in and goes up to the top. So we're going to have to get these fuel lines off without trying to crack them. What I like to do usually is I take a flathead blade. So I'm going to switch my bit out real quick, grab a little flathead, and what I like to do is you just put the flathead right where the hose starts, and I just pry down just a little bit just to break that, you know, that seal, so you can get a little bit of air in there. And usually they'll pop off. Sometimes they end up cracking, but we're hoping this time not the case. There we go. So I did that. I just took the screwdriver and I put the screwdriver in right where the fuel line meets at the top of the little carb, and you just push down the teeniest bit, and once you get that broken free, it should pop off. There you go. And we're losing some fuel, but you gotta turn it like that. That way there's no fuel pressurizing. Okay. And you have one more right over here. And this one looks like it might have a pin on it, so might have to go ahead and squeeze this little pin right here. There's a little metal pin. You have to squeeze that and release it, and there you go. Both fuel lines are off. The only thing left to undo is the throttle cable. So, okay, alrighty, we got the carburetor off. And looking at this carb, let me go ahead and get a rag. We'll see what kind of carburetor it is, if it's actually a generic or, you know, you want to lightly get these gaskets off right here. That way you might be able to reuse them if it's a personal application. So pull that off, put that over there. Alright. What do we got here? What is this? This doesn't have a model number yet. I was trying to see if we're actually dealing with a Zama or a Walbro carburetor. I'm going to go ahead and clean this up real quick with the rag, and then we'll check it. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of carb cleaner, just some gum out carb cleaner. I'm going to use that to spray this off. So I'll hold the carb. I need to get a second glove in a minute, but just spray some of this junk out of here, and then we can kind of get a better idea of what kind of carburetor we're dealing with. Most of them are all the same type situation, but it's nice to know which one it is in case you got to get a rebuild kit or something. The problem is now MTD, who owns Ryobi, White, Cub Cadet, and Troy-Bilt, have started using these carburetors that are basically just replicas of the Zama and the Walbros. They're Chinese-made carburetors, and the problem is trying to find rebuild kits for them is pretty difficult. I mean, gaskets you can, but like full rebuild kits and stuff, it's hard to do. Sometimes you can pair up the, you know, the Walbro or the Zama carb that these are the imitations of, and then just use the gaskets out of those. Like this one, see, there's not much markings. It just says 8A717. Doesn't say Zama or Walbro on it. It does have China, CHINA. So this is probably just another generic type carburetor. We're going to take it apart, see what gaskets need to be cleaned, and we'll go from there and see about if we can dip it, maybe clean it, put it back together, and see if we can get this thing to run. And this thing's got the spring-loaded choke too, so alright, we're going to need a small Phillips bit to start taking these things off. So what we'll do is we'll grab one of those now. Okay. And you'll take these 4 screws off first, so let's go ahead and undo them. You don't want to lose them, so. I'm not really sure if you know, chainsaws a lot of times, like I did a video for a Husqvarna saw, you could see the screen was completely clogged. Sometimes with these it's not the case. Sometimes it's just a little bit of dirt or junk with leaf blowers, you know, because this thing also can work as a vacuum. So we're going to go ahead and pull this, take a look at it, see if the pumper's working, the pumper gasket and everything. And I'll probably boil it for a few minutes, the bare carburetor, just to clear out any ports or anything, and we'll spray it out and try to put her back together, replace whatever we have to replace, and see what we got. So you take these 4 screws out here. The newer carbs don't seem to have the high and low needle adjustments, which sure it seems better, you know, in the sense that you don't have to adjust them, but the bad part is rebuilding them can be kind of difficult, because with the older carbs you can pull the high and low needles out and really adjust them. These you can't. Alright, there's your pumper gasket. This is your diaphragm. This is the one that's going to, you know, supposed to make it move back and forth, and it's pretty free. It's not bad. Doesn't look to be in bad shape. So it's got good flex to it. If they got good flex like that still, if you can see how the thing's flexing, that should be fine. That's not a big problem. So we'll move that over here. Okay. Now we'll move this out right here. Let's see what we got here. You got a little jet. Alright, this is your fuel screen. A lot of times that's your problem, is the fuel screen will get gummed up pretty bad and you can't, you know, it won't allow fuel through. It doesn't look too bad, but I think we're going to replace it just because we're already in here. Here's your other gaskets here. Just lightly take them off. There we go. Nothing wrong with that. And this side here we'll undo these two as well, just to check out what's in here and check out the throttle and everything. This is where your throttle ties in on these new carbs. So you have 2 screws, one there, one there. Both are Phillips. Worst case, you just have to replace the carb, and they're like 25 bucks on eBay. So a lot of times I do this just to see if we can fix them, you know. But there's no sense in spending a lot of money on something if you can, you know, replace it either. Like for the regular customer, if you like tinkering, somebody throws one out, you know, they're fun to take apart and see if you can get it going. I mean, hopefully, we'll see what we get out of it. Okay, that's your whole throttle. Doesn't look dirty or anything, but you know. This may be a Walbro. Let's see. I don't see Walbro on it, but it has a W, some numbers. So I'm gonna move that to the side. All right, that's your bare carburetor for the most part. We got to take off just one more metal piece right here. So let's go ahead and put our little flathead back in. It's fighting us a little bit. What we'll do is we'll try to pry it up. There we go. You get this little metal piece off here, and you only have one more gasket at this part, and then that's it. So let's take this off and see how it is under here. That could be your problem. See all that crud and buildup right here? That's probably your problem right there, is that it's just really got a lot of old stale fuel and stuff in it. So pull this off. You'll probably end up replacing that gasket, but all that will gum you up. So it's got a lot of old fuel and stuff sitting in it. Spray it out real good with some carburetor cleaner. Wipe it out real good, and we're going to boil it just to clear out any ports or jets that it has, you know, it's got problems with.